Welcome back to the Paladins Pro Circuit. We have had an excellent day so far, and I think it's only going to get better here in North America. Thanks for joining us. We're going to be looking at the second and third seed playing each other here for this one, and Kresnik is going to help me make sense of it all. Kres, great job on that second set. Hope you still got more in the tank for me here for set 3.
Well, I don't know, but I'm going to get refueled at least if I don't, because these games are good. I mean, Sanguine,
right.
Snappin', these teams are right next to each other on the standings. It's going to be a good week for this, and this is going to be a matchup that is really important for determining where they're going to be sitting. Sanguine 7-4, Snappin' 6-5. They are right next to each other on this with a really small differential, so literally winner of this could just straight up clinch the second seed.
Pickled Pepper looking like the Parallax of North America. Both of those teams up at the top, basically untouched in the loss column. And you're right, I think, to talk a little bit about how important the Sanguine Snappin' match is, in particular because these were both, in particular with Sanguine, we expected them, I think, to be a bit better at the start of this phase, and they struggled for just a little bit. Those first couple of weeks were a little bit rough for them, but they have turned it around here, the Sanguine roster, and they're looking pretty tough right now. So I think looking to kind of make their mark and say, hey, this is how we're playing now. Y'all got to get ready for it.
I mean, it makes sense that they would struggle, right? They've really changed their team identity. They went from, we are the triple DPS team, we are the mixed controller team, to they have one controller DPS, they have two pretty much hardcore tank mains. I really don't see Hero or Quick really playing that DPS role that often, so their team identity changed so much, they just had to catch up to it, right? They just had to say, all right, well, let's all get on the same page of how we want to play the game. And once they finally got that down, they've improved significantly, I feel, and it's paid off. But Snappin', I mean, they came out of the gate swinging this phase. They were looking phenomenal from day one. The only change they've made, I think, is an upgrade in consistency. Penguin has looked great slotted into this roster.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how this team is going to be able to make some of their adjustments work too, considering they've slowed down just a bit since their start. Let's take a look at the maps that we're going to be looking at. Fish Market Bazaar, not particularly surprising bands, not even Frog Isle. And hey, I'm not super bummed to see Ice Mines down there either, so we're in for some excellent ones here this time. We're going to start off with Jaguar Falls and a bunch of other of our, more traditional maps still in the pool this time as well, if we do end up going late into like maps 4 and 5.
Yeah, we'll see where else in the pool we can go. Warder's Gate, Shattered Desert, expect to see them, but right. Jaguar Falls, the standard one, still the remainder here. Sanguine's choice, of course. I think it makes sense to want to go to a standard map. It's safe, and if you think you're confident in how you're going to play, I always mentioned Jaguar Falls is the map where the better team wins a lot of the time, because it's a lot of rotations. If one cog in the machine falls out, one person stays behind, you get out-rotated, they die, the other team can really snowball you, so a lot of confidence there, I think. Interesting bans, though. Sanguine kind of banning the ROM away from themselves and snapping aiming for the Torvald.
Yeah, if for maybe a moment there you had forgotten we were in North America, I think you got your reminder when this Torvald ban came through, right? Vivian down there also. So in Europe, we saw the supports being basically permabanned. Corvus and Genos not allowed through. And here, it's those hit scan, right? They don't want to deal with Vivian or Victor this time around, which means that all those great supports are still out there in the Corvus, in the Genos. If we even see those two go on to, the Anar is still out there as a premier front line as well. A lot of options here for Sanguine in regards to where they want to go with this first pick. It looks like they will take that Genos for that damage boost and kind of try to scare Snappin' here a little bit in terms of who they're going to pair with that Genos.
It makes sense to go with that Genos, too. He heals through walls, which is a really important characteristic to have for this map. I think you could even see Grover prioritized over Corvus here sometimes, just to have that level of utility when there are so many close corners, especially during that mid-fight. And Sanguine will now need to... I mentioned that they kind of have this two-tank mentality. I think now they're going to have to angle for another support to make up for it, because they really don't want to have that Genos paired with two tanky tanks, with Snappin' taking an interesting angle here. Androxus and Atlas. Andro now we know is just a solid pick basically anywhere, and regardless of who on Snappin's piloting it, it'll look fine. And Atlas for that map control. I'd love to see some Deja Vu, flash people around corners with it, and basically pull them back in when they normally think they're out.
I feel like Atlas has kind of risen up to that premier frontline status. Him and Inara are kind of up there as those two you want to pick from. And the Andrew, I'm a little bit surprised by this too, but like you said, it's never a bad pick to take in this slot. It's always strong. And I suppose you don't exactly want it over there getting buffed by this Genos either, so maybe you take that away to prevent that. But you really can't prevent it from happening to someone. It looks like that someone this time is going to be the Zen. I feel like we've seen a little bit less of this pick lately here, Krez, but certainly still strong.
Especially on this map where his primary attacks basically cover the entire map, the entire choke point. If you're in a choke inside, you're getting hit by Zin. He literally has to try to miss at that point. It's so close range. But he'll struggle a little bit maybe into this Grover. The crippling axe, usually paired with the root, of course, with deep roots, will make things very difficult for him to stay in fights. And Khan matchup, kind of a moot matchup there, but that's a great ultimate for the execute to take people down, maybe equalize that guillotine if that's what Sanguine end up rolling out with, and to just to stay alive. But Sky picked up. I mentioned they needed another support, and Sky fits that role.
I suppose so. Here's the thing about how Sky only has a 5% pick rate, but seems to win every time she shows up. It's a situational pick where I think if the situation is right, you can make this pick absolutely work. What are you expecting from this Sky now paired in with this Makoa Inara frontline?
It might be like a hybrid style of Deathball where they play in the half shell on point, or they're just going to play this super aggro, roll in with Makoa with Surf 5, pair the Sky with him to get those executes. But the Willow will make things significantly harder. They have no way to deal with a Fae Flight. They have no way to deal with a dead zone, really, that goes on to the smoke bomb that the Sky is throwing out. Unless they have the half shell up ahead of time and they're playing that style, that Willow is kind of just going to feel free this entire time.
Yeah, normally you have to worry about what, like a Victor, a Vivian, maybe even a Cassie or something like that could potentially punish this Willow, right? But I don't think that's going to be existing this time. Should be fairly comfortable for him. The Andro, too, to some extent, going to be a question I wonder of maybe whether, how these two dives can coincide together, which one works first, and kind of breaks up that other side first. Sanguine and Snappin', though, that's the game we're going to be looking at. We're heading over to Jaguar Falls for this very first map here as well. We said it's a stand-one where the better team should traditionally come away with the win. So which way are you leaning here on this one?
Draft-wise, I have to lean towards Snappin'. I think just the fact that they got that Willow unanswered, they have an Androxus who will pair decently into the tanks and DPS I think that Sanguine have. I think it's going to be a lot of pressure on Quick, who I assume is piloting this Makoa. He has to hook the Andro through the reversal, or they're not going to get those kills consistently on him. That, and of course, hooking Willow off of those high ground positions she's going to be holding. It's all about how much of an impact he can have on the game, and he'll be playing it kind of slow. Half shell will be the name of the game, and they might be playing pretty close to each other.
And Poison did elect to go for that guillotine here for this Zen as well, so kind of keep an eye on those ultimates from him, as Gogurt, already in the eyes of this Atlas, has avoided it for now. Snappin' had some mid-control, would not got out here early, but now might be paying a bit for that positioning. Has to retreat, makes out healthy, and Hero is the one that goes down first on this Inara. Big kill there for Penguin to remove her early, and Snappin' are indeed going to move forward with this new space they've earned for themselves. Quick is low around this corner, no one can quite get there though. Woodknock was already there. And into the back came Poison, finding a kill onto Stigma. He'll have to retreat. Can't imagine he can make it far, but just barely gets out. So still Snapping with some control here, Krezing. They're up to 81%, but in comes Hero, finally rejoining the fight to slow him down.
Yeah, they get forced out because of that pincer from Hero, so great positioning by him to split the team, but they don't know Stigma's rolling back out, and Poison doesn't know either, gets taken down by that punch, and great map control now by Snappin'.
Yeah, and Stigma's in a great position to look for some additional damage. Hero just barely gets this wall up. In behind it is safe for the moment, but can you afford to be back there when they're on 99%? Hero comes back in, forces the OT, but trades his life to do it, and now can Stigma trade out some kills. He gets a double, and Snappin' managed to win the very first mid. Felt like the Inara was almost inconsequential on that one, Krez. What did you see?
He bought time, but couldn't do much more. And sometimes that's just what happens with Inara, when the other team is mobile, when they can just stay away from you, or they just put things in your face to kind of make everything moot. Like a Atlas shield, like a Khan shield. It can feel hard for Inara to make an impact, but I think you're right. I don't think the Inara did too much, but I think it's kind of on the Makoa to make all that ground, to get those hooks. Maybe Sky can make some room for them with that. And Guillotine and Time Bomb spent just to take down Woodknock.
He's down, as is Reincarnated. That's both of the front lines removed. They know that the Willow's in the back now as Stigma falls too. And a little bit of an opening here for Sanguine to shut down these snapping boys. Much needed. And they'll be able to step forward here, I think. Kresnik cut off a little bit more this time. And while Snappin kind of fight through this Sanguine guard, what do you want to see a little bit different from Sanguine, I suppose, in the next mid-fight then? I mean, I know you said it's kind of onto the Makoa.
I want to see maybe just an aggressive push onto someone who can get insta-gibbed, right? Just kill a DPS right away with the hook. That's why you picked Makoa in the first place.
Right.
If you're not getting hooks, Makoa is not having the same impact that you'd be having if you picked up another off-tank instead. But whatever they do, they're going to have to do it with a Fae Flight above them with no way to shoot it down. Penguin's going to do whatever he wants up here.
What? Just following Baller Steve. This is exactly what we expected to happen from this Willow. It's essentially free real estate for up there. Who can challenge as Snappin, despite getting handled last fight, are able to push through with a complete wipe. Reincarnated finds 3 in this battle. And Krez, Sanguine defended from a much further back position than I perhaps expected. I guess you kind of have to give that up there. And now Snappin are rolling right on through. They send in first poison. He drops, but buys time for Hero to make his way in. A little bit of backup coming from this left side. Makoa as well, but the hook doesn't matter. Stigma gets a double, and Quick is down, and that is the conversion.
And Woodknock annihilated Poison there. There's no other nicer way to put it. Woodknock annihilated him with that grab on the dash, and I was literally about to ask for this. Woodknock is playing Leon's Shield Con.
Yeah.
This is considered one of the worst talents in the game by a lot of people, but he's playing this as a main tank. He's playing with all this kind of stacked into itself, with healing on the shield recharging faster, everything put into that. So no cooldown at all on his shout, no cooldown of anything of that sort, but he's making it work. He's playing in the middle of the map and just staying alive under pressure with this. I think it just goes to show just how good Woodknock is if he's able to just pull out Leon's shield and kind of feel like he's styling on him with it.
He's found an avenue, an area where this makes some sense, perhaps, and it's been working so far. He's the first one out to the point here again. Hero looks a little worse for wear as his squad went over to the other side. Let's see if they can push through. Meanwhile, still sitting on the point, but they've left this Atlas alone. Reincarnated gets jumped on by 4. Genosol was close, but I don't think it actually got much value. Now Hero back out in the mid. Seismic Crash does get the stun onto Woodknock, but up into the sky, that's the area owned by Snappin. Hook off the mark, and the damage does manage to force one member off, and there's the grab. Hero off the map. Great use of that ultimate there from Woodknock.
Great to have that execute. One of the main reasons you pick up the con in the first place to do that, but an execute just to answer it 1 for 1 in terms of that. But kills are still going Snappin's way.
Yeah, I can't believe it. How does Poison end up falling on the back of that? Baller Steve does at least get Stigma, but up to the sky again is Penguin. Between this Willow and the Andro, they dominate the skies, Krez, and there's no answer from Sanguine in the other direction. Hero does come out, though, denies some cap, but I think his life is forfeit for the pleasure. Reincarnated with the kill. They take the mid back and dare Sanguine to find a way in, but I don't think there is much. They do have a touch in the back, though. That's actually huge that Gogurt bought that time for them. Maybe now Quick can make his way in, but he is zoned out as well, so I think the step in there from Gogurt, as good as it was, will not end up amounting to much.
And I think I want to talk about how exactly unanswered this Willow is. I mean, Penguin opened up that last fight with a Fae Flight and ended this one with one. He is just charging it so quickly that there is no way for them to take him down at all. He is just in control of these fights, and I think they might have to just start ignoring him if they can't do the damage to him, but when they do that, they just get shredded like this.
They do. Woodknock and Stigma are the ones that claim the kills, but the damage coming from Penguin, even when hooked, he's able to make his way back out of there. That leaves Quick too far forward, and the cart tumbling behind them, as Hero has a bit of a staggered out death here as well. That means it'll be a while before the Inara joins, another 10 seconds, and if you're the rest of Sanguine, yeah, you kind of got to do this, right? You can't go out there on your own. And so that means Snappin kind of own this space. They get to move into great positions while they're waiting on Quick and for Hero to make their way out. And they have made their way back out here now, Krez.
They've crossed this ground, but the problem here is that Woodknock is getting close to his ultimate. They're spending so many ultimates just to kill this Leon's shield. God, I've never seen a Leon's shield do this much pressure. And another Fae Flight's coming in while they were paying attention to him.
And what can you do about this? There's really nothing. Hero falls. Stigma got the kill onto Quick, so no one can safely contest the cart, and Snappin find the easiest 4-0 that you've ever seen. Leon Shields Khan comes out and makes it work. The Willow was uncontested. It felt like every piece of that draft basically worked.
It did. It was great for Jaguar Falls. They had an execute, they had great healing, they had great CC, and when they try to get through to actually get onto this Willow, they're getting hit with all of that. They're getting pulled in. We saw even just the Khan grab without the stun getting used with great utility. Poison dove into contest at one point. Woodknock literally catches him mid-whirl, and the team burns him down before he can get out. They're getting more kills from a regular Khan commander's grab than I think Sanguine got from a Makoa hook all game.
Yeah, I don't know that Makoa set up Mini at all, really, with the hook. It just was not particularly successful, and that's what it feels like with this Makoa pick now, Krez. It is feast or famine, and I feel a little bit more towards famine. Sometimes you're doing well around it, but you can just see from the damage numbers, they weren't able to get much going. 41k from Gogurt, still not bad, but way outstripped by Penguin in particular. 67,000 chilling up there in the air.
Yeah, definitely. So much unanswered damage from him, and I want to make a side note really quickly off of that. Sky's win rate before this game was 100%.
Right?
Why'd you have to do it, Sanguine? Why'd you have to do it? We had something good going, and then you picked it, and then you gave them a Willow, and then everything that all the fans have been hoping for. I don't know. I'm just emotional, Finch.
Yeah.
But hopefully Sanguinorin, after that loss, hopefully they can just reset and say, yeah, we screwed up in draft, and we'll figure out what to do next time.
That's what they got to do, right? It is pretty much just that. That was the great kill Woodknock got onto Hero earlier with the ultimate, is that this felt like something in the picks and bans or they just kind of got a little bit ahead of themselves, perhaps. They got to the end of the draft, and there was still this DPS option open for Snappin at the back, and they were able to pick up this Willow into a comp that just could not punish it. Great awareness from them. Splitstone was banned earlier in Europe, so I didn't get to see it, but I'll get to see it here in map number 2, selected by... well, by Sanguine, you got to think, right? Jaguar Falls was picked earlier on, so we'll see if they can make this one work here for him and find a way to slow this pace down. A 4-0 on Splitstone, a lot harder to do.
Yeah, definitely with how easy it is to defend. Standing on those high ground, spamming down, depending on what kind of comp you have, you can really kind of abuse that as you go. And I wouldn't be shocked to see Snappin pick up that Willow again, but it's a little bit harder on first pick, I think, when you have...
right.
The chance to answer it with some sort of hit scan, you know, an Androxus, a Strix, a Kinessa, a Victor, any of that can fight into the Willow. Not a guaranteed win for the hit scan, of course, but these hit scans that are already getting banned right now, Strix and Vivian, maybe it is looking a little bit more possible.
And the term, and you think this kind of has to be maybe a Torvald ban?
The target.
Sanguine? Yeah, and they certainly do end up taking that one out of there, so that's kind of their one ban slot when you're in the second spot. That's a little bit wasted here in North America to kind of have to do that. Which puts Snappin in a pretty good position, I'd say, here, right? If they want to maybe take that Genos for themselves this time around, that will indeed be the call.
Smart. I think having that damage boost here is great, especially since I think this map plays a little bit nicer with triple DPS than Jaguar Falls maybe does. So they can now have a comp like that they can rely on instead of having to feel like you need to figure out a way to squeeze 2 tanks in with an off healer. You can just play straight triple DPS if you really want to. But Sanguine get the Andro in response. Don't want to give that to Stigma again. On a map where it works, I think even a little bit better. You have even more verticality, and he can now make space for, I'm assuming, Gogurt on this Kinessa to do whatever he wants.
I was wondering if this Kinessa would come through, especially where the Strix was already banned by Snappin, so there won't be a sniper-on-sniper type duel here on this map as the Eevee comes in for Snappin, so prioritizing a little bit of this mobility early on, maybe to try and unseat this Kinessa there in the back and make life a little bit harder there for her. They're going to pair this with that Khan, and listen, after what just happened on Jaguar Falls, I'm going to be hard-pressed to say you cannot play this Khan back. Leon's shield here again, or are there going to be some adjustments?
Depends on what other tanks get picked up, honestly, for Snappin and who's piloting it, but this is an even better map for him. You have the great ways to execute in the fidget spinner, you have the lava on the other side, also plenty of cover for you to get a pull and retreat with it, but they do give up that Inara for that by picking up this Khan Inara ends up going to the other side. Hero, it's a comfort pick for him. Since they banned that Terminus, you'd think they'd want to force Hero onto something else that maybe he doesn't want. Maybe the Nando, maybe the Barrack. But they give Sanguine pretty much the pick of the litter of these two tanks, and Inara Rom's what they walk away with.
Yeah, you're not feeling bad about that at all, especially on Splitstone, where the Rom can be really punishing, I feel like, with his dive potential. We have seen Roms prevent people from making it into the mid-fights entirely, so we'll see how Sanguine want to run with this pick. Is snapping out to find some kind of response, some way to deal with it. A lot of the times, some kind of way to interrupt the dash, lock this Rom down, is usually a good way to do it. And hey, maybe you gotta go one step further with this Xin, you pick up the guillotine, and you just kill him, right? That could be the idea.
That's a lot of executes that Snappin has now. They have Overpowered, they have Guillotined. If they say, hey, listen, if we can't cap, we are winning every mid, and there is literally nothing you can do about it at this point, unless we have a hero play from somebody else, and back to the sky. Snappin, I mean, they didn't have it last time. They're picking up this, and we're going to show you how it's done. We're going to punish you for destroying her perfect win rate. The only champion that had a perfect win rate before this previous moment. The Sky, I like it with the team. It's definitely going to be a solo tank con now, so Leon's shield maybe will be the pair with it, and it could do good damage into that Rom and that Inara. That percentage health from those poison bolts really add up with these high HP tanks.
It sure does. And Krez, I think we're being a bit glib with the, show you how to play it, but I gotta wonder if that's not in there a little bit, right? I mean, this Sky coming at the tail end of the draft obviously does provide, as we saw in the last game, a little bit additional support that's gonna be needed here in this comp to kind of keep everyone going, but I think that this pick also just can straight up work here. They're going into some tough picks on the other side for Sanguine, though. Inara, Kanessa, Andro, Rom, Damba. I think Sanguine are coming in better equipped than they did back on Jaguar Falls.
Yeah, I think if they can get on this Kanessa, it can look great, but we'll see how they end up positioning as they get in here. We know it's going to be a bit of a slow play with the Sky, with the healing, but it's going to be fast on the other side of the map. That Eevee, that Xin are going to go as uncontested as they can. Just ignore that Andro, maybe get on the Kanessa, and then let the general positioning surround from the rest of the team outplay Poison on this Androxus.
It'll be Splitstone Quarry for our map number 2, and I think all us Paladin fans are hoping maybe it's just a little bit longer than map 1, the 4-0, where Snappin ran over Sanguine. Was certainly fun to watch, but wouldn't mind a bit more of the action. So let's take a look at what we can expect. He's on the Leon shield here again, as you expected when he's alone. So he's going to be trying to make this solo tank con work. They send Woodknock over towards the fidget spinners right away, over towards Lava Wall with everyone else. Looks like Stigma and the con moving together is the plan, but maybe a little bit too much resistance here from Sanguine early as they take a bit of percent to themselves. Meanwhile, they send the Eevee over left towards that Lava Wall to deal as the stun comes through, but Sigma ends up taking no damage on the back of it.
I think they're playing this ROM way too slow. I mean, they're playing ROM and Inara stacking the same exact choke point. How do you slow down the double flanker from the other side if the ROM isn't there to help it happen? I guess they're stacking a lot of people here, so kind of evens out. But finally, here comes the engage, but there's so many counters on the other side. Quick can't go any further.
No, he gets grabbed immediately by that Void Grip, and this Con Shield actually doing a lot to keep them safe. If they're gonna stack up, then it seems the Snappin can somewhat deal with it, but that has prevented the triple DPS from getting to the backline. But now the Eevee is doing their job. Penguin finds the first blood, though Poison does get the immediate return kill, but I think that might already have been job done for Snappin, right? They probably will take that trade, because they've got this waiting. Reincarnated is able to find Poison, not Quick, which means Quick can come back into this ROM to contest.
And look at this, they get forced off the point by the time bomb as well. Indeed, they're just getting body blocked. Hero absolutely bullied by Woodknock every way he wanted to go, completely shut down. And he'll just stand on point. Why not? They have to come into him and they'll get that kill for it.
They send Poison in first, hit by the Void Grip, and that is it for the Andro. Ultimate is able to kill Gogurt up top. Stigma gets Quick as well. What happened here? I know Snappin won the initial fight, but I thought Sanguine had a defense here, but that is a distant memory. 5 in a row now for Snappin as they win the first mid here on Splitstone.
Sanguine played patient, they played slow. I get that that's what you have to do with a sniper, but I feel like not having someone challenging Penguin on this Eevee other than, hey Gogurt, can you kill an Eevee that's on you? Thank you. They needed someone else there to help at the very least. They just didn't have anybody, and now Gogurt again isolated, again left alone, and again picked.
Yeah, absolutely nuts. I mean, I know last time there was some help from this Andro there, but it was too late, right? Like, the damage was done. Even though they got the trade, would not get the better of Hero, make it a double, as he gets rid of Poison on the tail end as well. Now Quick, as ROMs often are, just in the line of fire. Gets interrupted mid-dash, another easy kill going the way of Snappin', and yet again, Krez, it feels like they came in with good answers to everything Sanguine want to do. Maybe this can be cleaned up execution-wise, but I think Snappin' kind of just have the answers so far.
It seems like it. They've kind of shut down everything, and look at this positioning by Gogurt, but deleted! Immediately, Stigma had the flank already, and Woodknock made the room.
They almost didn't need the commander's grab. I was baited with the rest as they get the kill from the Sky behind. Sigma finds Hero as well. And this Sky shouldn't have been doing this on Jaguar Falls, Kresnik, because it's absolutely tearing through Sanguine here now. Woodknock gets another double kill, make it a triple as Baller Steve falls as well. 6 now unanswered.
Oh, what a brutal push by Snappin'. That time bomb was the saddest thing I've seen today. Hero walls as it comes out, and he's cornered himself, and the time bomb's right at the exit. He literally had nowhere to go there, so unlucky for him. Woodknock now, top kills on his team. 5-0 on the Leon's Shield Khan solo tank on Splitstone Quarry against a Kinessa. I feel like it needs all those qualifiers, because what in the world are Snappin' getting away with here? Items on his end just caught Nimble. He's figuring out what else he wants now, but I don't even know if he needs that Nimble. He's playing this game slow enough as it is. Woodknock just likes to stand still and watch the game happen around him.
And look at the loadout for him as well. Good luck getting through all the additional healing, the shielding, the recharge. He's ready to start moving in. Comes underneath near these fidget spinners. Has the ultimate, so you know that's what he's looking for. If he can find it, a nice execute would be good. The Kinessa snipes, though, are breaking the shield quickly. Woodknock, with a nice little shout, moves back, and this time Sanguine are stacking over near Lava Wall, so Snap and respond by bringing the people over, but Reincarnated's Guillotine lands again. The execute onto Poison Strong. The snipe from the Genos moves the sniper off her position, and Hero, he didn't even need the ultimate to put Hero in this level of danger. Penguin, though, now meeting a little bit more resistance, has to fall back. Almost got the damage there. Good snipe from Kinessa. Forces Penguin to rethink, but they're kind of doing the job without this ultimate from Woodknock. That's the scariest part about this.
Yeah, he's holding on to it for so long. I think he might use it to stop this retake or pull Kinessa in these dire moments, but Sanguine got the first one. Maybe he's holding on to it a little bit too long.
Well, finally takes the kill here onto Hero, denies them a tank and a commander's grab. Nearly enough to kill Gogurt, at the very least sets up Stigma for it, but Steve gets the return kill, and just like that, Sanguine back into it, and they've got the fast cap working. We might not ever see another touch here, as a Curse and Arm is enough to keep that Eevee locked in. 93%, someone needs a touch, but it can't come through. Sanguine get the touch that they need to find themselves back into this set.
And Penguin tried to go in for it, but maybe just a little bit early on that OT. Blinked in, but ended up going just a bit short of the point. And Gogurt now, he's being enabled. His team is around him. They can actually protect them from going in, so they're going to get nice and aggressive with him already in up top.
Poison is the aggressor here on to Stigma. Has some backup, though, and a hard one to imagine Stigma can make his way out of. Nice kill there for Poison, though they lost Gogurt. Yet again, Poison was doing his own thing, and Penguin says time to eat. So that is it for Gogurt in this push. But Sanguine don't seem to have slowed down at all. Ultimate! Not going to be enough to kill the ROM from that state, so Reincarnated falls. Penguin even in some trouble as well, as the ultimate willing to come out from the ROM here this time to try and stun too. But Stigma has the answer yet again, gets to the back and kill Poison, though Steve able to cut down Penguin, and again looking for Gogurt in the backline, but Gogurt gets the peel he needs this time around, and Sanguine looking so much better on offense.
That's the level of peel that you do need to actually stop the Sky or protect your Kinessa. Everybody turned around to help Gogurt here. But look at him. He's just quickscoping Penguin, who's right in front of him. And it's going to make Steve use the Dread Serpent, but they get the kill. Woodknock is buying so much time on this cart, but can't live long enough. Actually just waddles away, and no one can punish him for it.
They sure can't. Hero still has the Seismic Crash on deck as well, but they might not need it at all. A double from Poison. Quick puts down Woodknock, and Sanguine answer back when they need to. They find a 2-0 of their own, and now this map's all tied up.
Yeah, great by Sanguine there at the very end, just peeling for Gogurt consistently every time they tried to pressure him. But even then, with that peel, he's getting out damaged by a Leon's Shield Khan. Woodnock on this point
That's
is
crazy.
doing 200 more damage than a Ganessa. But I think that's just the name of the game, right? They're kind of just using Gogurt as a zoning tool, weirdly enough, and then letting the Andro and the tanks clean up the rest of everything. Gogurt's up top. Everyone has to sit inside, and then Hero maybe gets the advantage in the point fight. But now they're heading into this without as many ultimates. No Cataclysm, no Accursed Arm, no Dread Serpent. Only really the Seismic Crash to play off of. And Snap and have Overpower. They have time and space. If they connect, that is a significant amount of value that they'll be getting out of it and could help them here with no comeback on either side.
Right, this is the... Sanguine has not won a neutral mid-fight yet, right? There's only been 2, but the one they won was with the aid of that comeback mechanic. So let's see what they can do here next time around. Everybody on Sanguine comes into this one streaking off a great offensive push for the conversion. And again, Snap and all come over to this side near these bleachers, are comfortable over here and waiting for someone on Sanguine to step out and overreach. Good little shout, keeps them healed up. And the Canessa's kind of given up her position for now, so maybe they can move in after all. Reincarnated the first one in right behind this Eevee, but still, neither side can find much. So Snap just decide to start capping, and they're up to 33%, but Sanguine step forward to contest that as well.
It's because of this threat from the Overpower. He's still holding on to it, and he's not using it, so Hero isn't willing to go to the point without his Earthen Guard up. He's holding here, but the first pick, Penguin maybe overextends. Poison kills him, and this point fight might get a little explosive.
Reincarnated, though, does his job, gets rid of quick. Steve is able to eventually get the punishing killed. And you kind of tell Woodnock would love to grab the Canessa instead. He's been so patient with it. Good wall, though, prevents him from being able to find that Wombo combo. That's Execute that the Cons are known for on this map. And he can still stand out here and contest this Inara, one of our slower mid-fights we've seen. But that's because both teams are being patient, and the pressure that Woodnock's putting out is keeping them at bay. But again, Poison gets an opening pick. Reincarnated falls this time. There's the ultimate, but a good response. As Stigma gets back there and kills Gogurt. Now, there's the overpower from Woodnock to get the kill onto Quicken Response. And maybe Snappin can hold them at bay. 93% is where Sanguine stall as Penguin gets the return pick onto Poison for the first time. Sky here on the point and will melt down Hero as well. So Snappin finally with a little bit of mid control.
And that's their second time bomb of the game, and he's already at 23%. So much ult charge, combining that damage plus that healing, it all really does add up. And Poison, the only one who maybe could touch, he goes down, and it's all on Quick now in the middle of the entirety of the Snap and core.
He does manage to get some control back, but Snappin back up calmly, re-engage, get the kill. Gogurt alone, falls to Stigma again. Now Hero left alone in the void. Grip will fall easily, and Snappin on the second neutral mid-fight of the game have gotten the second neutral mid-fight win of the game, improved to 3. And Krez, it seems like if Snappin have the time, they will whittle Sanguine down.
They're just able to constantly chip them away. They have more resources. The Dama really can't keep up with everything, but finally an overextension from Snappin that Sanguine take advantage of. They're going to try to shove out Woodnock. He is walled in, so he should end up falling here, but Sanguine, they are sacrificing that high ground positioning for this, right, to be this far forward. If this goes badly quickly, then Snappin could be able to retake it. Sanguine have to be careful.
You can already see a little bit of falling back here from Hero. Stigma taking the battle with the Andrew on the other side. Wall to deny the push for now, but this is the moment you might have mentioned as Gogurt gets a kill on the Reincarnated. Dies for it, though, as Penguin gets there. Maybe Snappin can keep right on pushing without having to worry about a Canessa on the other side. Over the top, though, comes the Andro, and Sigma there to deter it again. Snappin, all this fighting is to try and get their way back to the cart. They lost so much on the back of that mid-fight win. As another ultimate's coming out here from Snappin. Looks like it does at the very least do its job. Quick can't step forward, walling off as the Inara just to deny some cart push for a while. But Snappin have regained control and can look to start pushing here on the back of a nice wipe.
And Poison goes in at the end just to maybe trade out a kill, maybe make this push a little bit harder, but unable to really make it happen with Snappin past that initial choke point, but they'll still have to push into, I think, a difficult one to get over, with Gogurt being able to stay with the entire team and hold up here, but an overpower initially here. He'll charge it quick enough. He doesn't need it at the start, and Quick's down.
That is huge, isn't it, to be able to get rid of this ROM, to come around this final hump. And they get rid of Gogurt. Penguin finds another critical kill. Plenty of ultimates up here for Sanguine. I wonder if they feel like they have to use them. They're the only ones who can lose the game on this push. But Hero's back out installing. Dread Serpent comes out as well over the top of the Accursed Arm, but Poison never finds a shot. The only good news is that Stigma dropped as Penguin gets a double kill, and the cart continues to move forward. Reincarnate in the back is putting damage into Quick, but the tanks are here, and Woodknock is low. He manages, though, to get out of there, and that should be enough for him to back up, get some healing, and come back in. It's so close here, Kresnik, but I think Snappin have a shot at this, especially if they're able to get this kill into the Andrew, and Penguin does it again.
And Penguin is just popping off right now. No other way to say it. He is blind blocking the Cataclysm. He's all over them, and Gogurt, Stigma, still living on the point. Gogurt can't do anything here.
And Quick is down too. With those two tanks removed, that should be it. Snappin managed to bounce back on Splitstone, get the 2-0 here in the set, and wow, I'm freaking out a little bit. That push was so impressive when you consider how much they were stalled at the beginning of it, Krez.
Every piece of it worked together perfectly. Bones barely staying on the cart, pushing it. When Gogurt comes back up, he gets off the second that Woodknock walks in. They just had that perfect synergy. They're timing up for it, and Penguin just killed everything. I mean, Penguin killed everything. Had a mark on him the whole time. Rom drops down from behind with the Cataclysm. Penguin doesn't even turn around. He just blind ice blocks it and then goes in to kill Poison on the flank, staying alive the whole time. Gogurt being that first pick, he comes back into the fight that's already being lost. Kinessa does a lot of damage, but she needs at least someone to take the fury of the other team.
And I don't think that it was there. Gogurt dies the most on the map 12 times. Can you tell what Snappin's focus was coming into this one? It was to make his life miserable, and they achieved it. Poison died a lot too. I mean, it's tough, man, when you cannot keep that back alive long enough. As Snappin really do come out ahead on this one. Now, this is getting a bit scary because they won the first map 4-0. The second one is grindy, and they win that one too. Sanguine can't seem to win the rushdowns or the more long, drawn-out ones.
Maybe they have to play it for 3. Maybe they just thrive in 3-3. Maybe that's the end goal, right? Maybe get a super long game comp at the very end of the game. Maybe ban Gun? I don't know. You really can't ban out Woodknock. I mean, people used to try to do it, right? They banned the Inara, they banned the ROM. It's like, all right, that's it, guys. Woodknock can't play anything else now, and then he's just pulling out Leon's Shield Con. I think that pretty much proves, if anything, you can't take away everything the man can play, but maybe something else to deal with this Sky. Even the Willow answer that Snappin had game 1 was something that I felt like Sanguine were kind of lacking here.
It did seem that way, didn't it? And you saw how quickly that Sky kill came through, right? There almost isn't time to react. You have to be there with her the whole time, I think, if you want to keep Gogurt alive in that one because of how quickly this damage came out. And did you see the damage numbers? 3 people on Snappin over 100,000. No one on Sanguine was over 74. And when there's more tanks on the other end, you have more targets to kind of put your damage into, sure, but I think that disparity is a little bit too much to ignore.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the damage was just all on the side of Snappin, who... Genos Boost really made it work there. When you have the triple flanker, they're doing quite a bit, especially paired in with the heals from the Sky as well. But Sanguine, interesting choice. They want to go back to a flat map after that was not the best for them in game number 1, but Bright Marsh, they can play a little bit more vertically. They'll just have to watch out for picks like those Willows, picks like Ruckus that can do a little bit better on Bright than they can on Jack.
Yeah, one of the only good things about this, though, is that Sanguine are back to the first pick position, but I almost don't know if that is good, because Snappin kind of okey-doked them with their 10th pick last time, right, by pulling in that Willow when Sanguine were a little bit unaware. I think as long as they're ready for it, they should feel pretty comfortable here in this spot. So it'll be Bright Marsh, as you covered. We go to here for this third map, and Sanguine take away the Androxus right at the start of it. Snappin take the Torvald away without even thinking about it.
That makes sense. I mean, you don't want him to have it. He will enable the team significantly. Plus, it's a great map for it, paired with Bomb King. Any blasters can do quite a bit in those little apartment hallways when they have the bubble to back them up. As Sanguine get rid of the ROM, they don't want to deal with that aggressive tank that Woodknock is known pretty well for. I would say doing quite a bit for it. And Snappin have to take the basic We're second pick bans. Vivian and Torvald removed. It does leave Victor open, but I don't even know if they're really going to go in that direction. They might want to do something a little bit more aggressive on their side to change the pace up at least a little bit.
Well, they do go ahead and take away the Genos. I think that's not a bad way to start this, right? Deny that Luminary boost on the other side from Snap and see if you can get that working for themselves. So Sanguine maybe not tilting their hand so much here with this first pick. We knew already they were probably going to need some tanks over on their side, but Snappin now trying to limit this pool a little bit, taking this Inara away and forcing Hero to drop down one more.
Yeah, they'll put Hero probably onto the Terminus that he's felt really comfortable on, and sometimes they've picked up over the Inara on some maps when they need those pockets. Could help a lot in terms of sustain when you're against Inara and Grover. Grover, again, in North America, kind of rising above Corvus a bit. Teams like that CC, they like that poke and that AoE healing for everybody. People are finding a little bit more value with than some others, but Ashe into this, it'll do fine because it's Ashe, but the Grover will do quite a lot into that Ashe. I mean, just the roots into the dashes is going to make things a lot harder for Quid.
Ooh, and a Bomb King coming out here as well for Sanguine. I like the idea of getting this Genos to boost up this Bomb King, and then in some of these narrow apartment types areas on the actual point itself, this Bomb King theoretically can then just try to feast is the idea as this Atlas comes through on the other side. We've not seen a whole lot of BK lately, but this is one of those maps where I feel like his value goes up.
For sure, when everyone has to be close enough to take that damage, and you can even throw through those windows. I think that's one thing that people don't think about as much with Bomb King. When you're pushing into that payload capture, he could stand outside the house and detonate through the window, and the tanks sitting in that one safe spot that they think they have, it's not safe anymore when that level of damage is coming in. But Snappin', they get the victor, so their backline is looking pretty powerful here. Sanguine will need something else pretty much just as good to keep up with it, and they'll get a Koga for Gogurt instead. So Koga paired with that Genos, that's a lot of... He can sustain himself pretty well, and that's a good amount of damage, and Inara and Atlas are pretty easy targets for him to farm energy off of.
We're still waiting, I would think, for Hero's pick. I mean, obviously the Terminus is still up, so if they do want to go to it, as he said, yeah, just like this, they will go to it. So they knew that's what he wanted, and it wasn't going to snap, and so they could wait on picking this up for him. So it is going to be the term, but can this Koga Bomb King be enough damage for them? I do feel as though this might limit them a little bit. It's yet again a scenario where I don't know how well they deal with something like this Willow, and that's exactly what Snap and go to.
The Koga will do okay into it, and they actually have the option, and I doubt it's going to happen, but they could go Slug Shot on Ashe, which is actually a fantastic Willow counter, especially paired with that Genos. You can get quite a bit of damage spammed up to them, but Snappin' have a lot of sustain. Sanguine have kind of a hybrid of sustain and damage. The Terminus is the one that really brings that to them. If Hero's putting himself in front of the Willow spam or in the tanks that are trying to get aggressive, Sanguine could flip fights. I think a lot of it goes to where this Terminus goes. If the Siphon is in the way, Sanguine can kind of steal fights from under Snappin's nose.
They sure can. I wonder how this breakup is going to be. Is it going to be the Ashe kind of moving along with this Koga, trying to get into some of these more narrow apartment areas? I'd have to think, and then more a little bit backline there from Snappin'. We'll see where this Willow chooses to play. As we're ready now to move into game number 3, Bright Marsh will be where we determine Sanguine's fate. Will it be a 3-0 where Snappin' run over them, or can they find a way to bounce back on Bright Marsh behind this Bomb King and this Koga? Krez, we're moments away from finding out.
And they have the tools to do it. They have the tools to answer that Willow. They can fire on it. Again, they can run Slug Shot and poke. The Koga's range damage isn't that bad. It's not great, but it's not that bad where it's useless. I definitely wouldn't be spamming up at a Willow in the skybox, but I would, at the very least, duel into her on the rooftop if that's where they end up. But CC is going to be important as well with the Inara ultimate plus the entirety of Atlas's kit. So an early start, rushing resilience for a few members of Sanguine.
Well, over to the side of the apartments where the battle starts early. Stigma already put some really good damage into this Ashe. The Koga's back there too! And because there was some backup, he's able to get some damage. Up, though, to the high ground goes the Koga. It's the BK, who's low. I wonder if they're having the wrong duel. I thought you wanted Koga into the Willow, but instead, it was the Bomb King, and he lost it. Sigma gets Gogurt Bones with a little bit of additional damage, locks down quick, and now Hero left alone. And that is Snappin' winning the initial mid-fight.
Yeah, it was more having BK not in apartments. BK just kind of handles that area better. Koga needs burst damage to kill him. Willow doesn't have a ton. She's more consistent over time. Koga should be able to win that, but Snap and A, they were capping the whole time too, so they just run away with that mid. Stigma, relatively uncontested in the middle of them, will let them bully this out.
This is interesting here, right, is what can Snap and do right on the back of their mid, and Sanguine really haven't found much way to punish. Quick was just kind of out in the open, I think, as you cover, takes a bunch of damage. So now it's the 5v2, as the kill feed lights up again. Bomb King and Genos have to retreat, but can they even do that? The snipes through, catch Steve, and now the only one left is the Bomb King, stuck in no man's land. He falls as well. Snappin' have been moving through with reckless abandon, and Sanguine are just scrambling for the breaks.
Yeah, they need to find some way to slow them down with them just letting this cart roll around the corner, and they're in this position where now if they lose a fight, if they take a fight alone, it could just roll right in, and they could have no other way to play around it. It's too close for them to lose a fight here, but Hero goes down alone and just gets picked off. He got poked from so far away, and now Gogurt, unable to kill this, Will actually does make it happen and ults to stay alive.
Yeah, this is purely to stay alive, but dies in the back of it. Does get Penguin, though, which I think pretty worth it at the very least. But can the rest of his team hold on? Poison trying to do some decent damage from the side as Reincarnated makes his way through. The King Bomb was used, though. Finds a big stun in the middle, but Woodknock is still alive somehow. I guess that's the Inara diff. They do end up losing Stigma over to the side, though. That is huge what Poison is able to do, but I think typically that's a recipe for killing a tank, right? And the Inara lives. Woodknock does eventually fall, and I think Sanguine have found a nice hold here.
The Whirlwind, I think, was the real savior there. Bones did spend that ultimate. I know it doesn't look like it because he's already back up to 25%. That's just how quickly Grover gets ult charge here, and spending it to keep his team alive. Definitely worth it when that's how fast you're going to get it back again. And poke onto Sanguine. Those roots do so much when you can hit them at range, especially when your team has to play as grouped up as they are to make use of that Terminus siphon. Look at this early bullying from Reincarnated.
It does end up working. Stigma gets the early kill on the Poison. There's the assert dominance in the back. At least that's what I thought had happened anyway. That is it for Quick. Hero falls too. It's a double kill for Reincarnated, and he's trying to keep this push alive. Gogurt from behind the tree is battling as the Terminus denies any cart push. Gogurt gets Reincarnated, but it costs him his life, and Sanguine are able to find the defense on that one there, Krez. They hold on and keep this one 1-1, and that's big. So far, they've been letting Snap and get these conversions, so I'm glad they slowed him down.
They did slow him down, but they also kind of had to spend everything for it. They don't have Reanimate, they don't have Assert Dominance, only the Cyclone Strike is up with some other ultimates to follow soon after, but they don't have the engagement factor that Snap have. They're going to have Faithline, they're going to have Barrage. Exile, it's Exile. It's not gonna win you the game unless it's used in a situation where I think you're already winning, but we'll see if it can help them kind of flip this on them. Barrage is what I'm looking for mainly though, and that Faithlight of course, because Gogurt can't stop that early Faithlight unless he already has some damage. We'll see if they switch things up with who's in what lane, and looks like they did change it up. Bomb King's on the right this time, but now they're walking into this Barrage.
Got to make life a lot harder. He drops out once. That forces them back into cover. Grenade should find some damage through, and then we'll send Reincarnated in first to find some additional damage through time and space. Came out as well. Don't believe that found a whole lot, but Penguin gets the better of Gogurt this time. Maybe it doesn't matter who you put up against this Willow because Penguin's winning all those matchups, and that's what he did on Splitstone, right? Was he just won his ones? Well, he's doing it here again on Brightmarsh.
It was an interesting fight, though. I don't know why Gogurt was taking it from the pit. I feel like you kind of want to fight him from up top and at least have some high ground advantage, but the opposite way was chosen. Aggressive start here by Sanguine, but there goes Stigma. He's running away, and Poison can't really go any further in because of all the damage waiting for him.
He knew he couldn't go out into open air, right, or that damage was on the way, so he just settles for inside apartments. There's the Whirlwind as well. Reincarnated gets poisoned, and Bones is making a move. Up to the top goes Penguin, and they've now forced all of Sanguine into this apartment. They're low HP. One was able to make it out as Gogurt takes too much damage. Penguin lives through it. Damage to the back of Hero beyond the shield, and Hero falls as well. And that means the Genos can't make it in time. Another cap here for Snappin', and they've won 2 mids in a row.
Just great damage by Penguin there on that dive. Quick did get the kill at the end of the day, but still it was too late for that to really matter. And yeah, they have to be careful not to get staggered out here. This is one of the easiest maps for the snowball to happen in, but Snappin', they want to play it slow. Instead, they have a lot better poke with that double damage, so they can force them to come in and force some Siphon to get burned early. They don't even need to burn the whole Siphon. Hero turns around and gives himself away.
That is yet another kill, though they lose Reincarnated to the right. That was good lockdown on that right side, and they punish the Atlas as a result. But this seems to be another momentum-based kind of push here, doesn't it? As Snappin' have got the cart right on the doorstep yet again. Now, last time Sanguine defended from pretty close to here, maybe a little further back. Well, so maybe they can hold on again. But look how low Quick is in the back. Woodknock not going to be the one to finish this damage off, right? As he moves forward on his own. He sure tried. Seismic Crash kills Poison outright. Locks down Quick for the second. I know Bones gets the double, but that's all Woodknock as the Seismic Crash is too much. Stigma gets a double. No Reanimate coming through. And I think it's just a conversion for Snappin'.
They do. They walk it. They get it right in. They just non-stop. Once that ultimate comes out from Woodknock, he found the opening. They can't have someone in both lanes. They can't have a tank hold both sides just because of the way that they work. No one pushes to retake the window room. So when Woodknock walks in, he's like, "All right, this is my ground now. I'm just gonna have it for myself." That ultimate spent in the back. Now that they're in the late game, I think it's better for him to spend it that early, right? You throw it out, you know they're going to start getting resilience, so do the most you can with it. He saw players who didn't have Resil in the way. Why not throw it out? He's charging it pretty quick anyway, but the damage he's able to do.
A great decision there from Woodknock, and it absolutely works out for them. Kills Poison, doesn't even need the stun. Then the rest of the stun onto Hero is great for the damage coming from the squad. And now we are back in yet another mid, and let's see how they can test this right side once more. Barrage early to punish Poison, just outright kill him. My goodness, they can't win that side of the map. Stigma gets a double kill, and that is it for Poison and Hero. What about Gogurt? He's left alone here in the back, falls to Penguin, and the most dominant mid fight yet from Snappin' comes out thanks to the ultimates. Quick lockdown as well to the side. They already lost Steve. There will be no more healing. And yes, they stagger Quick out in the back, leave him alone, and hurt, kill him towards the tail end. And Kresnik, I can barely keep up. It's been so dominant.
It's just they're just running into the meat grinder at this point on their side. I don't even know who goes in for the touch. Gogurt, he doesn't have a Cyclone Strike, so he's just giving it up, Finch.
That's enough. Snappin' find the victory. 3-0. And continue to improve. We talked about how much better Sanguine have been playing lately after overcoming some early phase woes. They climbed up to that second seed spot, but just as we mentioned, it's still volatile, and now Snappin' have tied it up.
I think Snappin' just had the draft. They had their number in the draft phase every single round. I felt like they always had something that felt unique, but it felt like it just picked out whatever the weakness that Sanguine drafted was. I mean, that game, how do they get in, right? They try to walk through, they try to use the Ash, but the Ash was just getting destroyed by the damage that they had. Stigma just ran away when the aggression came in. They got kited so hard on whatever side they wanted to be aggressive on, and then once they spent those movement cooldowns, they're staring down the barrel of 2 damage dealers just waiting for them to want to push.
And listen, I don't want to take anything away from Bones. He played well, but 7-0 and 24, I don't think that can ever happen on its own, right? Where he just goes without dying the whole set. This is because Woodknock and Reincarnated are an impenetrable wall, behind which are the Fate Flight and the Barrage. And I think in your wildest dreams, Sanguine would never get to consider trying to deal with this Grover. It never came up.
Yeah, they couldn't do it. They had so many things to worry about first, and Bones also, of course, is a fantastic support player, so he's while he's also not getting dealt with, he's getting more frags than 4 members of Sanguine combined. So it was a good play by him. The damage was there as well, only 3,000 below Penguin, and this is why Grover's getting picked so much. Out-healed the Genos, out-damage, I mean, several other members of the other team, and bring the CC there to do even more.
Put himself in a great spot, I think, here, Bones did. And look, the damage, there was not a huge disparity between it on the sides. It's a question of effective damage. And Krez, the way they controlled that apartment side in the mid-fight, right, that seemed to be the crux of it. Whoever they put over there fell, and then whoever they left like this in the 1v1 with Penguin dropped, giving my man the high ground advantage, I guess, and you're not winning that way.
I mean, I don't even know what else you do there. Do you skewer to the wall on tree? I can only think that might be the only other option you have. But you mentioned this apartment side being so important. They can't win it with Ash and BK, so they say, all right, how about just BK? And then he ends up going down. Big Vine from Bones to pull him away, and big win from Snappin to pull them ahead of Sanguine.
They are now ahead in map differential. I wonder what the head-to-head looks like. We know this one favors Snappin' as both those teams sit at 7 and 5. I think still in the shadow of Pickled Pepper, but maybe a little broader in that shadow are Snappin' after that big win over Sanguine, because that is a dominant win, right? The 3-0, where several of the maps were 4-1. I think the only one that was 4-2 was one where Sanguine got the midpoint into the conversion right away, so kind of a momentum-based win, but we thought we were getting some really big sets, right? 1 and 2 in Europe, the first team in Brazil, then second and third here in North America. But still, no set goes beyond 4 maps.
Yeah, there was surprising to see the level of it, but I think this is the kind of mastery of the Radiant Stars meta, right? We've had this patch for a pretty long time, the entirety of the PPC, actually, in this phase at this point, so this is the last week we'll be seeing this patch. This is kind of the mastery of this, right? What teams have figured out everything. You can see unique stuff from everybody. We saw everybody trying to pull out something different. We saw the Eevee get figured out in Europe when she had been so dominant for so many weeks before. We see Leon's Shield Con in North America. I mean, I'm excited to see what they do next patch, but it's kind of cool to see what happens after a patch gets to sit around for this long.
Clearly, they've gotten comfortable on it, haven't they, as they've gotten to a pretty high level. So thank you for watching today. As always, a reminder that Krez is doing the Friday and Saturday broadcast. I believe you have Dave with you tomorrow, so you get a little bit extra dosing on the Friday broadcast as well. And Fawn, of course, is there with us. So make sure you check out those matches to see the ones we could not broadcast today. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.